Do you also like miniatures? Those little tiny objects that are just a cuter version of a real thing? Well, today we're not going to talk about those kinds of minis. Today I have a bone to pick with TTRPG players who use food as elements on the map. No, don't do that! I know for a fact you didn't clean this mat and I can bet your hands are not washed either. Just put it back. No touchy. Gummy no touchy. No! Hi, hello! I'm Oak, a VTuber and a craftsperson. On this channel you can find various informative videos about approaching specific hobbies while on a very tight budget and with environment in mind. If you're a hobby hunter like me and you enjoy anything creative, consider subscribing. And now, let's get back to the topic. If you ever wanted to play any TTRPG in person, you know that minis are quite an important element of it, especially during fights. Surroundings can be simply drawn on the map, momentary obstacles marked with random objects, but I'd argue using dice or other improper items as totems for player characters is boring. Why even have the visual part of the game if the visuals are not visualing? But Oak, some of you probably want to say, miniatures business can get expensive really fast, not to mention that sometimes specific minis are really hard to find, and not everyone have 3D printer at home. Well, if you're here saying all those kind of things, I know you're my viewer. Thank you for being here. But also, if you're my viewer, you should know that I have at least 3 different solutions to that problem. So now let's discuss them all, starting with, creatively speaking, the easiest option of repainting existing minis, modifying them, and ending with sculpting your own. This idea came to my mind last time I treated myself to some yummy Kinder Surprise and found a buffed figurine inside. Nice, you could be a barbarian! Nowadays, most of the stuff found in Kinder Surprise is motionless and usually with very sad paint jobs, which means they are perfect candidates for some little TLC. Also, you don't need to buy chocolate if you're looking only for figurines. Places like eBay, thrift shops, garage sales, and forgotten toy bins of growing up members of your family are full of those things. Also, seeing as tiny figurines became a very popular way to rip off the parents whose children cry for toys with packaging stuffed mostly with air, we can safely say there are many other options too. As for the materials, all you need are some acrylic paints and a varnish. Most of those mini figurines should be able to stand on their own, but if that would not be the case, you could glue some cardboard to their feet instead. Make it the size of a grid on the map and voila, your own personalized mini is ready. But sometimes the paint job is not enough to make a mini feel like a fantasy character, so what then? Well, if you stumbled upon a Barbie mini and thought, this could be a great paladin, all you need is some air-drying clay, preferably of the foam kind so it's not too heavy, materials mentioned earlier, and your Barbadine is ready for battle. Just imagine the whole table full of Barbie minis, that would be amazing. Ginny D already introduced Barbara to the world of Dungeons & Dragons, so it shouldn't be that much of a shock, right? Anywho, I'm sure there are many other figurines like this. As long as they are thin, as in not made from chunky parts, they should be easy to modify. Just maybe don't use the metal ones, acrylic paints don't like metal. Besides, those could be the perfect in case you lost your needle minder or any other magnet you own for some reason. Because we all have them, right? Last option is to sculpt the whole figurine yourself. You will need a foam or modeling clay, toothpick or a bit of a sturdy but thin wire, and a plastic bottle cap. Cap will be the base as it's light and sturdy enough for the scale. Plus, its size should match the grid and be a nice size reference for the mini. You can also decorate it later like any other base. Make a tiny hole in the cap, using a heated embroidery needle for example, and put a toothpick or wire into it. Immobilize the bottom end under the cap with hot glue or a bit of clay and use the upper end as an anchor for your mini by simply sculpting around it. I'd suggest keeping the figurines in a simple pose, at least for the first try. It's good to fill out the materials before committing to something more advanced. Also remember, it's a mini, it doesn't have to be detailed. Basic shapes will do the trick. After the mini dry, paint everything and cover it with few coats of varnish. Then take it to your next playing session and proudly present to the other players. Especially to the one laying chips on the mat. Oh, and if you're a GM and would like to make some monster figurines that are bigger than PCs, you can either sculpt them on a tinfoil base or create them using paper mache technique. You can find a video about it on my channel. Which one of those 3 ways of making minis speaks to you the most? Remember that you can use more than one. For example, why sculpting a dog familiar if there are so many miniature dog figurines out there already? And what if your whole table would decide to do minis on the same base? You could put those, IP that shall not be named, mini Funko figurines to use. Speaking of Funko, if you'd also like to modify one of the regular sized ones, stay tuned, cause in 2 weeks I will release a video about Funko Pop customization. It's a bit trickier than you think. And remember that spring spinning is still going. Next week another guest will grace my studio to talk about their hobby. Please comment below what characters you're playing and what do you like to do for them. Does it all start and end with minis, or are there also artworks and folders? I'm very curious. I hope you'll have a lovely weekend. Thank you for watching and bye bye!